Hi, I'm Heather.
And I'm Cody. And today we are going to talk about confidence in business.
One of our favorite topics.
Knowing your worth helps you feel confident in your business. It doesn't matter what job you choose, your confidence is ultimately your responsibility.
Who needed to hear that? You're not feeling confident in your own worth. You're not feeling confident in your job or your abilities. That's your own package to deal with.
We get to unpack that. We get to work on that.
Yes.
And that's a lot of times what confidence, that's what owning a business is all about.
Yeah.
If you're a business owner, that's what, working in our day-to-day life really shows us that some of these things that are happening in our life, they're teaching us. They're here for us. They're not happening to us.
Right.
And especially if you're an entrepreneur, I'm just going to talk for a minute on the entrepreneur. I think it's like to step into being an entrepreneur is an initiation in all of your shadows.
Every single one of them.
And it also means that in business and working in our work life, there's always going to be insecurities to face. Confidence isn't a lack of insecurity. It's a flexibility and a willingness to face those insecurities and still move forward with what we want and what we want to go after. Okay?
Absolutely. And in entrepreneurship, or if you're a contractor like I am, I work for multiple different businesses. So I don't own my own business per se. I am my own business because I'm a contractor. So a lot of you are 1099ers like I am. We have to have a lot of confidence because that's the name of the game, whether it's full-on business ownership and entrepreneur, or you're leading a company, or you're a contractor.
Or you're a teacher teaching elementary school kids.
Right. There's a confidence in it that leads us and propels us forward. And that confidence is so much inside of us that we have confidence in our abilities, confidence in problem solving, and confidence in knowing our worth and what we bring to the table in any given job or business venture.
So we are going to encourage you to check out our very first video this month, which is all about walking in confidence and cultivating that inner confidence within yourself, which is where all of this begins. If you want to have confidence in business, you have to start with confidence within yourself.
Absolutely.
So we really detailed how to build that confidence within yourself. And so this is where we kind of dive into what are some of the blocks that are keeping you from being confident at work, and how can you cultivate a work relationship, a business relationship that is cultivating confidence instead of bringing it down, and all the kind of components and the ins and outs of being confident at work, okay?
I'm going to touch on one thing just really, really fast.
Yep.
Whatever job that you are doing, do you have passion for it? And then I'm going to say something really interesting here. So, and I'm probably going to butcher this quote. It's from my good friend Carmen, but she had a relative that used to say, whether you are like a business owner or you're the president of the United States or you are the guy that picks up trash every single week, you have a purpose, you can have a passion for it, and you can have a love of it. But it's what we cultivate and the confidence that you have. I did not quote her completely correct on that, but I always loved that because some of you may be listening to us and you may be doing a job right now that maybe is not your favorite.
That you don't love.
That you don't love. You may be working at a restaurant that you would like to work at a different restaurant, or you are,
a paper pusher and you don't like being a paper pusher.
Exactly. Having confidence in what you are already doing and a passion for it, a gratefulness, a respect for it, can then propel you to go after those other things that are your dreams. So instead of continuously blocking the gifts the universe has for us by having such low confidence in where we're at in our life and in ourselves.
Yes. And to really break through, some of those blocks, we need to start looking at what is leading us in feeling like we're not confident? What is leading us in our low confidence? What are the things that are blocking us? And oftentimes this is looking at, do I deserve it? Those are limiting beliefs, those limiting questions. I'm not qualified. Imposter syndrome, so to speak. Like, I'm not qualified. I don't have this or that or this or that, or so-and-so is so much better than I am. I literally specifically had a friend of of mine call me, and she, was worried about taking this new job because she went after it, but also they accepted her and she just doesn't feel like she's completely qualified. She feels like maybe she should call them back and say, hey, I'm not qualified in this and this. Are you sure you still want me? And it was really funny because I was just like, you're just facing imposter syndrome. That's all you're facing right now. They chose you for a reason. So your job is to surrender all of those gremlins, as recognizing them first as gremlins, as insecurities, as limitations. They're old stories. They're not true. And also in allowing yourself to surrender and be supported by the universe. Obviously, you got this position for a reason. They're going to support you. They're not going to leave you high and dry. They wouldn't have wanted you if they truly didn't see something in you. Right. So there's a little bit of like surrendering and trusting that this came to you for a reason, and allowing yourself to be lifted by that. So really looking at the places that you are blocking is really, really important.
Because sometimes the universe has in mind for us something that we might not have thought of, right? And all of a sudden these doors start opening. And it takes a very confident person to walk through a door when we're like, oh, wow, this opportunity has presented itself. When Cody and I started this podcast almost a year ago, right?
Yeah, about a year ago.
We were like, okie dokie, we tried this on a different format, a different thing, and we liked what we did, but it wasn't quite right. And the universe was like, ah, and we're like, okay.
All right, we're showing up.
Okay, we're showing up. And here we are almost a year later. And now we're on Apple Podcast and Spotify, and I'm still like in awe of that. And it keeps growing, and we're doing what we were put here to do with this podcast, and we keep doing it. And the universe had that plan.
And what I feel like she's also talking about is something I talk about a lot. And that is we leaned into the terra-citement.
Yes.
We were terrified and excited. And walking in confidence often looks like you're always stepping into your discomfort because you're stepping out of your comfort zone. Mm-hmm. So you're stepping into those feelings of being terra-cited, being terrified yet excited. Now I'm going to caveat this with, if you're only feeling terrified and there is no excitement at all, and that's not the anxiety speaking, it's like you legit fear for your life, then obviously that is not terra-citement. Right. That is a warning. Maybe you should heed that intuitive hit. But most of the time when we're talking about business or growing or being confident in business, you build your confidence through the discomfort.
Yes. Yes. Mm-hmm.
So really looking at those places where you are uncomfortable and you need to lean in a little bit.
I have a great example. So I'm also a teacher, and I teach a lot of different age ranges, but I teach a bunch of teenagers, right? And sometimes I'm like, I get uncomfortable because sometimes our discipline at the teenage level, relating to the teenagers and teaching teenagers,
it's like a whole world.
It's a whole other thing. It's its whole fishbowl in itself because we have puberty, we got hormones, we got a bunch of stuff going on.
We got attitude upon attitude.
Okay.
We got 15 going on 25.
All of it. And so often I will get terra-cited, right? And I check myself to make sure that I am actually terra-cited and not terrified of trying to teach this age range. But no, they terra-cite me because it gives me a challenge. It gives me a challenge of, okay, if this one method of teaching is not working to really get through to these kids at this age range, how can I change it up to get through to those kids? When do I implement talking to parents, bringing parents in to help with a situation? And when do we as a class work on situations? How do I as a teacher help work on that? What do I work on within myself? A lot of it is having a lot of patience.
Yes.
A lot of patience and a lot of boundaries in your classroom, right? Especially with teens.
Especially with teens.
So you learn those things, and when you do feel that terra-cited feeling, you can really grow and you can really learn.
And I think, being willing to in business and being willing to in life to really honor your discomfort, but not shy away from it.
Yeah.
It enables you to, especially in work, receive feedback better.
Yes.
Number one. And it also helps you deal with conflict with a little bit more ease or grace. It's not ever going to be fully easy.
Right.
I did that with more ease, maybe.
And a question. Do you find yourself in your work environment, are you able to take feedback okay? If someone comes to me and says, hey, Heather, I think we need to change this up in the classroom, I got to be able to take that feedback. And what I don't want to do is I don't want to be on the defensive.
Nope.
Because when we're in the defensive, we're in this fear mode of I'm not good enough. They don't know my abilities. I'm better than blah, blah, blah. I have more education than blah, blah, blah. And we get in this armory defensive mode and we're not hearing anything.
Yeah, you're basically in the ego.
Now, if you're working with an employer or you're a contractor somewhere or whatever else, and you have an employer that is not treating you fairly, is not treating you okay, that is not what we're talking about.
That's not what we're talking about.
Okay? We're talking about when people just want to have conversations, they want to give you some feedback. Feedback's not always going to be roses and kittens.
No.
Sometimes it's like, hey, we need to change this up because this day was chaos.
Yes. And we can do it differently.
Yeah, and you can have that work environment. Or if you're building a business, make sure if you have employees that you're building that open door policy where you're really working together, not going on that defensive with your employees. That's how you're cultivating that confidence within yourself, your business, and all of the people around you.
And naturally, when you are really coming from a more confident state within yourself, you've worked on that, holding space for your own emotions, opening up lines of communication, it improves the communication. And what we really want to say in this, we talked about this a little bit last week in the relationship component. So when we're talking about business, we're constantly in different relationships. You really need to work on stop being passive aggressive.
Yes.
Be, direct. Be forthcoming, be as honest and respectfully honest as you can. And also, it's okay for you to be assertive. I feel like sometimes people can shy away from being assertive, especially I work with a lot of people that are chronic caretakers or people pleasers. People pleasers, being assertive is death. It's equal to death.
Yes.
So
yes. Taking
little steps to allow yourself that speaking up for yourself isn't necessarily about being aggressive. You're just being assertive. And
we need to talk on that.
Yes.
Because there is a difference between, I've often dealt with people in business that are like, well, I'm just assertive. And I'm like, no, you're rude. Okay? So there's a difference in business between holding your ground and being assertive and being this other side of it. What do we call the other side of it? When people are,
I think ultimately the way that I would describe it is you're being gracious in your communication.
There you go.
I feel like grace is present. When I am most confident, I'm actually the most graceful.
Right.
Because I don't have to defend myself. And I'm more receptive, but I also can realize when something isn't correctly aligned for me. And I can, with grace, say, that doesn't feel very aligned for me. Is there a way that we can meet in the middle on this? That's a very gracious thing. That's not me getting defensive or attacking them. It's also, if I see something that's happening that I feel like is inappropriate, I can have grace in how I communicate to that person about how something needs to change. Now, I also want to bring up that on the other side of the spectrum, sometimes it's going to be uncomfortable to be really assertive if you're a boss, a manager, and your employee is not being appropriate, not, treating you with respect. I think about this in the restaurant industry. Somebody new comes in and they think they know better than you and they snap off at you a couple times. It's important for you to be assertive and say, that's not allowed. That's inappropriate behavior. In fact, I'll give you an example. So a long time ago, I worked in the restaurant industry for many years, and I worked with a I worked with a coworker who was joking around, but looked at me and was like, "You're worthless." And I very quickly looked at him straight in the eye and I said, "Do not ever say that to me again." Period. that was assertive, that was direct. It was still respectful. I was not mean about it. I understood that he was coming from a place of joking, but it was still inappropriate behavior and I needed to stop it immediately. So it is okay in that frame that sometimes you do have to be a little aggressive in your assertiveness. You have to have that clear boundary. And of course, his response is, well, I was just joking. And I said, I understand that you're just joking, but that's a sensitive topic for me. And it was inappropriate for you to say that. And he goes, I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to, you know. And he kind of copped an attitude with me even then.
Sure.
But I was okay with that because I was being assertive to a clear boundary of something that was inappropriate for me in that moment. That wasn't necessarily that wasn't sexual harassment. That wasn't that insane level of inappropriate. That's a whole new level of we need to talk to HR, we need to get management involved, we need to do some other things. And that's important too. But I want you to understand that when you're building that confidence in business, it's okay for you to be gracious in your assertiveness and not be rude.
Yes.
And it's also okay if the situation requires it, be rude, be direct. Don't take no crap. That's okay too.
And I'm going to give an invitation to people. If you're working on, I think why they teach team building in school is because working on a team can be one of the hardest things.
Absolutely.
Because you have a bunch of different personalities, right? So maybe you're an entrepreneur and you have a team that's starting something, or you're working on team projects, or you work in an office, whatever, guys. You're a group of teachers, okay? If you find yourself feeling overwhelmed, too much responsibility on the team, and you start making a bunch of excuses as to why you can't get things done, and everything leads into an excuse for another excuse for another excuse because you're overwhelmed, that's time to do an inventory, because that's not leading from a place of confidence. That's leading from a place of fear and from not putting up proper boundaries or being assertive.
And also from a place of scarcity.
Yeah, because maybe you're afraid if you can't do X, Y, and Z, that people are going to get rid of you, or they're not going to like you, or any of those things, right?
Or that that's that scarcity of time, I don't have enough time. Well, are you thinking that the task at hand is going to take you 4 hours and it's really going to take you 30 minutes?
Right.
And so you're in scarcity and lack mentality, and in not good enough, not worthy enough mentality that's keeping you stuck. So I think that's an important thing to really take an inventory of for yourself.
Yeah, because being confident is also listening to those around you. And you may have more support than you know.
Yep.
The universe is always supporting us, whether we know that or not, or recognize it. But also, there's a lot of people around us that may be offering support or saying, how can I support you? And we have to get clear within ourselves, how can these people support us in business? How can they be there for us?
And also,
what do we need?
On the other side, what does feeling supported look like for me? Right? How would it feel? How do I need to receive support? Maybe Sally Sue wants to take something off the docket for me, but that thing that she wants to take doesn't feel good for me to not do because I feel so invested in it. But for me to really feel supported, it may just look like her just listening to me for just 5 minutes.
Yeah.
It may not even, I need her to take or do anything, or I need to delegate anything. I need someone to just listen to me for a minute. And so really getting clear on what is it that you really need so you can communicate that is really important. That's actually going to lead to a happier work environment for all parties.
And listen, guys, as Americans, if you're in America listening to our podcast, most of us are going to spend a majority of our life sleeping, which is something human body has to do. Sorry to break it to you. And the other thing is we're going to spend a majority of time at work. Okay. So really getting clear on, being confident in who we are and what we're bringing to the table in business and who we are as entrepreneurs really makes that happier work environment, because there's an old saying that says, when you're doing when you're doing something you're passionate about, do you really call it work?
Yeah, exactly.
Right. And something with my wife that she has always understood is how much I love to work. And other people are like, Heather, you work so much. Well, I have passion projects. Being a teacher is a huge passion of mine.
It also happens to be work.
It also happens to be work. Doing our podcast,
Is a
helping
passion.
Cody manage things. These are all passions. And I've been confident and gone after my passions. Right?
And I also want to encourage you to understand that you can have passions and work doesn't have to be one of them,
Yeah.
but you can find joy even in your work.
Yes.
Because joy is something you cultivate.
Yes.
And we're going to talk about that a lot in the next coming months, right? I think joy is the month of June.
Yes.
Just so we're clear. I think earlier I mentioned...
I think it's May.
Is it May?
I think it's May.
Oh, it is May because June
get
is
there.
purpose.
Right.
I'm gonna get.
I know. You're going to get it.
I mentioned last in our in our cosmic weather report earlier this week that that next month was all about joy. It's actually about challenge. So the following month is going to be all about joy. But when we are cultivating joy in our work, it can fuel our passions that are outside of our work. It can also fuel our purpose because our purpose and our work might not always sync up.
Right.
You know, so you may have a job that helps you put food on the table so that you can do your passion as a volunteer manager at your local non-for-profit.
Yep.
So they may not always link up. And so it's really important to understand that you can still have joy in all those areas of your life, and that is about cultivating confidence in how you are in the world, how you move, who you be, all of those things.
Absolutely. And all of that makes you a better manager,
a better leader,
a better entrepreneur.
Even a better employee, because you lead your life better.
Yeah. So we love to leave you with actionable items, how you can actually apply this to your own life. So number one, we're going to get clear at where you are at with your career.
Where are you with your career? Do you love it? Do you hate it?
Do you love being a bartender? Because if you freaking love being a bartender, be a bartender.
Yes. And if you don't, and it's the point, it's the stepping stone to get you to the next thing, then, you know, on a scale of 1 to 10, where are you with it? If you're at a 2, how can you just cultivate more joy in this experience? If you're at a 2 and you don't have any goals for the next step or leg, get some goals.
Right.
Build some ideas, dream a little bit, those kinds of things. So where are you with your career?
Yeah.
Okay.
Number 2.
Get clear on what is working and what's not working at your job. Again, I think this fits with number 1 a little bit, right? Because you're getting clear about your career.
Yep.
Now you're getting clear on like what's working, what's not working, you know? And maybe there's places you got to pivot.
Right. So often with entrepreneurs, for years I preached on multiple avenues of income. Came in very handy in multiple times in my life, right? So being a contract employee means that some seasons I am really freaking busy and other seasons I am not as busy. So I have side gig hustles, okay? So this is where I have examined what's working, what's not. So for a while, I was doing these contract gigs. They were great, but then I would have periods where I was like, oh, I need a little more income coming in. Other stuff like that. And so I picked up some gig work. There's all kinds of gig work, right? Deliver groceries, I deliver for Uber Eats, all these things. And I love it. So again, that lights me up. Even though it's this little side thing, for whatever reason, I just love it. And I have other friends that do it and we talk about it that are also entrepreneurs. It's this whole circle thing. So there may be some stuff. You might sell Mary Kay on the side.
Yep.
Or you might, help out with your friend who owns a gardening company and you go mow lawns once a week.
Or
whatever
you may
else.
pick up a bartending shift or a server shift at a restaurant that you love, and you may work there once a week.
So, or you may decide that it's time to cut back.
Yeah.
You're making enough money, you're doing a good job, and you want some time off. Where are you at?
Yeah, because unlike her, I don't like to have a whole bunch of jobs.
Right.
I like to have a lot of different projects. I do have a lot of projects running at any given time, but I tend to like them to have cohesiveness.
Right.
So
I'm open-ended.
We have a different flow to us. So that's where you look at what is working for you and what is not working for you. Right. Both for you. Okay. So that's number 2. Number 3.
What are ways you can improve your confidence at work? We're going to stop comparing. We can learn new things. What are other ways that you can improve your confidence at work? Only you know.
Because only you know where are the places at work where you do not feel confident.
Yeah.
And how can you ask for support, find a program or a course to go through and get certified in something, learn more. Where can you practice makes perfect sort of thing, and stepping outside of your comfort zone. Looking at the places where it is outside of your comfort zone, but you feel like you're ready to at least try and face that terracitement.
Right.
Those are the places where only you can take those steps. Only you can build that confidence. Nobody can do it for you.
Right.
So looking into your life, where are the places where you don't feel confident or you feel a little scared, a little uncomfortable, and lean in and grow. Okay. So if you like this video, if you got something out of it, we would love to hear from you on exactly what you got and what you received. And please like this episode, subscribe to our channel, subscribe to our podcast, and share it. Share it with somebody who you also want to help support build their confidence.
And if you love all of the amazing content that you get from us, Sassy Soul Sisters,
please consider supporting this show. We do this show from the bottoms of our heart. We love it. We're passionate about it. We don't necessarily get paid.
Right.
So if you love all that we do, please consider just a small monthly donation to help us sustain all of our future episodes.
And if you would like to do that, you can do that at anchor.fm/sassysoulsisters/support.
All right. And please tune in next month as we dive into challenges.
The whole month of challenges.
Facing our challenges, our shadows, all the things. We're going to dive all into it. Very excited.
Next week is called Can You Hear Me, Universe? Like that one thing where it's like, can you hear me, God? It's me, Margaret.
Can you hear me, universe? It's me, Cody.
Okay. Hi, it's Heather. Right? So tune in with us. So let's dive into some challenges. We all have them.
We all face them.
But with a spiritual toolbox and some confidence, we can get right through it.
Yep. All right.
Okay, bye.